the 2020 EcoFair Exhibitor Finale. Welcome everyone to 2020 EcoFair Toronto. Being a virtual event, you could be joining us from Toronto, Ontario, anywhere in Canada, or even internationally. Personally, I find that very exciting. The event you'll enjoy today is the last event of a 4-week celebration to mark the start of the Green Decade. Climate scientists have given us 10 years to turn things around. There are solutions, awesome people, groups, and wonderful businesses making amazing progress. So let's all celebrate their achievements, learn about solutions, imagine what we can do, and get inspired to take action. We are very excited about today's program and thankful to the organizers, presenters, moderators, and exhibitors who have volunteered to make it happen, and to you for joining us. We would like to begin by acknowledging and thanking the indigenous peoples of the land. We are hosting this event today from the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. It is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, we respectfully share this land acknowledgement as a way to recognize the enduring presence and resilience of the indigenous peoples for time immemorial. We also ask participants to reflect on how we are all accountable to these relationships. So thanks again for joining us. I would now like to turn things over to our MC for today, Gabby Elhav. Gabby is a grade 11 student at Rosedale Heights School for the Arts. She is an active member of Fridays for Future Toronto, which is part of the global climate strike movement founded by Greta Thunberg. Fridays for Future is a youth-led grassroots level organization with the primary mission of mobilizing youth to advocate for a better world and demand climate justice. Take it away, Gabby. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ashwarya, for the introduction. I'm super happy to be here today to MC today's EcoFair finale. At this finale, we're going to celebrate this year's 35 exhibitors, the environmental groups, authors, and eco-businesses leading the way to a more sustainable future. 15 of the exhibitors have kindly agreed to join us here today. So coming up, you will learn and be inspired by these green champions. You'll also have the opportunity to get lucky and win prizes generously donated by the exhibitors themselves. Afterwards, we will congratulate and thank the EcoFair co-host organizations, Transition Toronto and Green Neighbors Network, the sponsors, and the many enthusiastic volunteers who made the 2020 EcoFair such a success. We're very grateful that you're joining us today, and we welcome your questions and comments. So please use the YouTube chat when our exhibitors and presenters are not busy on their panels. We are encouraging them to dive into the chat and interact with you as well. Also, our moderators will be watching for questions and will collect them for the Q&A with the exhibitors, which will happen near the end of today's program. Today's event is being recorded on YouTube. We will be making it available on the EcoFair YouTube channel in the next few weeks. So let's get started. We're very excited that Dr. Dianne Saxe is here and will speak to us today. Her energy and commitment on climate action is an inspiration to us all. Today's special guest, Dr. Dianne Saxe, is one of Canada's most respected environmental lawyers and was the Environmental Commissioner of Ontario from 2015 to 2019. Now, president of Saxe Facts, she provides legal and strategic inspiration and direction on climate, energy, and environment. Since 2015, she has talked with hundreds of audiences across Canada about the climate crisis, and we are very pleased that she's taken some time away from her busy schedule to say a few words to us today. Go ahead, Dr. Dianne Saxe. Sorry about that. I think that Dianne Saxe currently not in the meeting, so we're just gonna keep going. So we're gonna show our VCIB video. We are really to have them as one of our lead sponsors for 2020 EcoFair Toronto. Vancity Community Investment Bank, or VCIB, is Canada's first values-driven bank. VCIB partners exclusively with organizations that drive social, economic, and environmental change. They provide banking, investing, and financing solutions to help purpose-driven businesses and organizations create scale and foster change. It also offers specialized financing solutions for social purpose real estate and clean energy projects. And our EcoFair committee was so inspired by their video, we decided we want to show it to you today. So we're going to be playing the video now. So that video is really amazing, and we really appreciate VCIB. We're really happy to welcome them as one of our EcoFair lead sponsors, because their banking mission really aligns with our EcoFair mission, which is to celebrate and promote eco organizations and businesses that are creating solutions and leading the way to a more sustainable future for us all. I just became aware that Dr. Dianne Saxe has joined the call. So just to introduce her again, our special guest is Dr. Dianne Saxe, who's one of Canada's most respected environmental lawyers and was the Environmental Commissioner of Ontario from 2015 to 2019. She's now president of saxefacts.com, which provides legal and strategic inspiration and direction on climate, energy, and environment. Since 2015, she's talked with hundreds of audiences across Canada about the climate crisis. So go ahead, Dr. Dianne Saxe.
Hello, everybody. I hope the EcoFair has been a tremendous success, and what a beautiful day. I mean, it shouldn't be this warm, but anyway, it feels lovely. So, I mean, my bottom line is this one, you folks all know this already. There's nothing about climate action that's going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it, because everything that we really care about depends on it. So the economy is pretty well. We're really focused right now, a lot of us, on coronavirus, and we're going to be living with the coronavirus for some period of time. But we know that the climate crisis is enormously larger, and it won't be long to wait. Oops, hang on. And we also know that vulnerable people suffer the most. They have suffered the most in the virus. They are already suffering the most in climate change. They will continue to suffer the most in climate change. We've seen world hunger rates skyrocket again after years of decline. And we need to hold together. And it's not just climate. If we look at the planetary boundaries, we still have mean, this information is 5 years old, but we still do have the opportunity to not plunge full scale into climate crisis. If we were to all get smart right now, we've got a much better chance of that today than we did a week ago. But look at the other things where we've already blown way past the boundaries of what the world can stand, both in chemical pollution and in the loss of biodiversity. We have an urgent problem that requires our action right now. And as the Special Rapporteur to the United Nations Human Rights Council said, this century, which means in the lifetime of today's children, we've now reached the point where the best case result we can hope for is widespread death and suffering, and the worst case is people on the brink of extinction, humanity and human civilization on the brink of extinction. So there aren't any bigger stakes. And it just doesn't have to be like that. We know the global sustainable development goals about making life better for almost everyone around the world, and reducing fossil fuels is part of achieving many of these goals. So we know what to do. We know we have to reduce sources of climate pollution. We know we have to support the carbon sinks, like wetlands, like that precious coastal wetland in Durham that the Ford government now wants to fill in and turn into a big box. And we know we have to improve society. We have to repair some of the gaps between the rich and the poor. We need to recognize things like the fact that it was, in a lot of ways you could say it was Black women of color, who determined the result of the American election in a way that gives us a chance at a future. We need to find ways to pull together, reduce inequality, help each other, or we're not going to be able to withstand the hammer blows of climate change, and we're not going to be able to make the kind of changes we need to do the other two. So how do we do all that? Well, individual action matters, reducing our personal carbon footprint. It's a great place to start. It's a terrible place to stop, but it is a good place to start. And we know the big pieces there are how we get around and how we heat our homes, what we do with our money, what we eat, what we consume. These are the big things we can do. But we need more than that. Individual action will not solve the climate crisis. And this isn't a question that we can deal with by making everybody feel guilty. We also need to look at businesses, and green entrepreneurs matter a lot. I hope you've had a chance to listen to my podcast, Green Economy Heroes, which you can find anywhere you get your podcasts. You can also find it on my website, saxefax.com. I started it in March when my climate talks got brought to a sudden end by COVID, and I've had the privilege of talking to people, green business leaders all across Canada, doing all kinds of exciting and innovative things, big businesses, small businesses, men, women, young people, not so young people, each of them finding their own niche to build a business where they can make a living in the green economy, they can make jobs in the green economy, they can help all of us reduce our carbon footprints with their passion and their innovation. And some of them are just astounding. And government matters, of course, too. I mean, individual action cannot solve collective problems. Government was invented so that we could solve collective problems together. And we know the basic tools that there are. And we're not going to get the governments we need unless we work really, really hard to make sure that people understand what the issues are and that there are good candidates available to vote for. So one of the real problems with the Canadian environmental movement is we've tended to want to keep our hands clean and to stay out of the messy business of politics. And politics are messy, no question about it. But it's where a lot of the big decisions are made. We need to speak up for the kind of government we want, for the kind of businesses we want to patronize. And how do we speak up? 11 magic words, you've heard them before. Simple, clear messages, repeated often by a variety of trusted voices. So that means you, in the places where you're trusted. It means helping other people who are trusted. It means supporting folks in their communities to speak to their own communities, whether religious communities, cultural communities, national communities, business communities. We need to find places in those communities to empower the folks who are trusted to speak up on these issues, to sustain the natural systems on which our lives depend. So there we go. We want to have some hope, and I do. This is the only formula I know. We have to start with knowledge, but we can't stop there, because if we stop there, we fall into the slough of despair. We have to then build on that knowledge with action with others, because only from knowledge and action do we get hope. So everything I can see says no one can do everything, but everyone can do something. Action feels so much better than anxiety. Find other people to work with on a topic you care about. There are so many. And don't waste another minute, because the moment is now. Thank you very much. If you're interested in finding the podcast, it's at saxefacts.com. Have a wonderful day, the rest of the EcoFair, and thank you to all of you who made it happen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dianne Saxe, for that inspirational start. Next, we're going to be sharing our exhibitor compilation video. So we are really, really glad at EcoFair that we get to feature 35 innovative and passionate eco organizations and businesses. And we're delighted that 15 of them are joining us here today. You can see all of them at ecofairtoronto.org. And for almost all of them, you'll also find fun and informative EcoFair 1-minute videos. Today, let's begin this year's exhibitors by watching a quick compilation video that captures their energy, innovation, and variety. Truly something for everyone at EcoFair. We'll be sharing the video now. That video means so much to us, and now it's on to our main event. Let's meet 15 of this year's EcoFair exhibitors and hear their stories, what they do, how they got into it, and how we can support them to do even more. We've divided the exhibitors into 3 panels, each on a different theme: sustainable living, connecting with nature, and sustainable shopping. The first panel will feature the theme sustainable living. It is moderated by Andre Forsythe, Executive Director of Canadian Climate Challenge, the project lead for School for Climate, a committed climate activist, and former sustainable fashion consultant with Fashion Takes Action. Over to you, Andre.
Thank you so much, Gabby. And thank you all for joining us on this beautiful Sunday at EcoFair 2020 and for joining the Sustainable Living panel. As Gabby mentioned, my name is Andre Forsythe from the organization Canadian Climate Challenge, and I'll be your moderator for this panel, where our panelists will be advising solutions from a variety of areas that are all focused on how to help you achieve a more sustainable living. We are on a tight schedule today, so don't look away for a second, and please feel free to engage in the YouTube chat with any of our panelists. And so with that, let's go to our first panelist from Sage Living Toronto. And if you can briefly describe and let us know who you are and what exactly it is you do. So over to you, Bettina.
Thanks, Andre. I'm so happy to be here with all of you. My name is Bettina Hoar. I run a sustainable construction coaching firm. So essentially, I help you understand what it is that you can look at, how to empower you to make a healthier and more sustainable renovation. And it's just thrilling to be here, and let's get to the panel. See the rest of us.
That's awesome. Thank you, Bettina. And next we have Jane from Springbay Studio. And same to you. If you could let us know who you are and what it is that you guys do.
Thank you so much, Andre. My name is Jane G, co-founder and president of Springbay Studio. Many of us are taking our responsibility to fight for climate change now, and the next generation will have to be among the most environmentally conscious in modern history. And we know children are attracted to screens, and we can make their screen time count for a eco-focused mindset. The research from the United Nations Environmental Program shows that video games have the potential to trigger huge directional shifts in thinking and in action. We have created 3 video games and received 9 awards, including the best app for teaching and learning from the American Association of School Librarians, and were recognized by the United Nations Environment Program. And we are the only Canadian educational game developer focused exclusively on environmental science. Thank you.
That's awesome. So making screen time green time. I think that's very interesting. Thank you, Jane. And next we have Sustainable Environment Solutions with David. David, can you hear me? Okay, let's give David a sec. We'll come back to David. So we'll skip forward to the Roots Collective. And I think we have Helena today from Roots Collective. Helena, are you there? Wonderful, thank you.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm too very excited, thankful to be here. So we are, the Roots Collaborative is a not-for-profit cooperative, and we work with businesses and communities to promote environmental, social, economic, and personal well-being. And I'm very excited here today to share with you an initiative that we're working on right now. It's called the Home Energy Savings Initiative, and it's all about providing information to homeowners and renters about the variety of different incentive programs that are out there right now, and it gets pretty confusing for people. So we've hired a number of young people to provide information, and the whole purpose is to eventually create a social enterprise whereby we're employing young people and individuals experiencing barriers to employment to be able to enter the green economy. So we're really excited about that. And if you're interested, I think the website is going to be posted, so please do get in touch.
That's wonderful, Helena. I think you had us all at hiring young people. I think we can all support that for sure. So thank you for that little bit of background information. And next we'll go to the Toronto Vegetarian Association. Lainey, are you with us?
Yes, I am here. So I'm Lainey. I'm with the Toronto Vegetarian Association, and we are a nonprofit organization based in Toronto. And our overall mandate is to inspire people to choose a healthier, greener, more compassionate lifestyle through plant-based eating. So we are a membership organization. So if people are interested to become a member, either to learn more about the resources that we have to support people to either pursue a more plant-based diet, or if they are looking to join the community, we have a number of resources that are available to the public.
That's awesome. And I'm so sad that this year we're missing out on the is it the Toronto Vegetarian Food Fest?
Veg Food Fest. But yes, if anybody has come across that, we always have it at Harborfront the first weekend after Labor Day weekend. So hopefully, fingers crossed, next year, but we are continuing to have events hosted online, similar to how EcoFair is doing this. So yeah, to always keep tabs on our social media to see what's going on in the internet sphere.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm David, I'm back.
Oh, yay, David's back. Okay, excellent. I thought
But can you hear me?
Yes, we thought you went outside to enjoy the sun, so we're glad you came back to join us. So David, just where we had left off was we want to find out who you are and what you're working on.
Okay, great. As I told you, my old computer was old and it went off just as I was to go on. So I'm David Katz, former financial evaluations officer at Ontario Hydro. I started sustainable resources management, sustainable environmental solutions 25 years ago. So we basically help buildings be more sustainable. And one of the things that I presented at EcoFair, to go to what Dianne was saying and making our buildings better, is our building envelope. And so Magnetite, which is a product that's on the video you just saw of my company, is my client that helps buildings improve their existing windows. And that is the key to saving energy.
That, and just for clarification, is that just residential or commercial or in both?
No, effectively all windows. We're focusing on big buildings, little buildings. It's been around for 30 years. It's at Memorial University, Humber College. Enercan says 25% of your energy goes out your windows.
Wonderful. Thank you for clarifying that. I mean, that's not enough time to find out enough about all of you and the incredible work that you're doing. We are going to get one more question in, but just a reminder, if anyone wants to engage more with any of our panelists, please, their links are being posted in the chat, so feel free to check out their sites or engage with them directly. They're very friendly people, so feel free to ask them any question you're comfortable with. And with that, we'll go to our next question, because I think, and we decided on this one because I think we always leave these incredible, inspiring meetings, which we're not getting to go to in person nearly as much, hoping for guidance on tangible steps that we can take that matter. And so if all our panelists can turn their cameras on and we can have a bit of a discussion about, I'd love to hear what sustainable living actions you would recommend for our audience to take. And why don't we'll start with you, Helena, is that okay?
Sure. Well, I would definitely say for us in particular, it's about taking that first step. So that's really what HESI is all about, the Home Energy Savings Initiative. It's about, we know it's sort of confusing out there as far as, again, the incentive programs for home energy efficiency. So just reach out to us or take that first step. Better Homes TO, for example, is a great resource that the City of Toronto has put out there. It's a great website which has all of the different programs, and again, they provide a lot of insight as to what that first step could be. So I think as soon as you take that first step, sort of the path starts to clear and it becomes more apparent what your next few steps will then be. Yeah,
and I couldn't agree with that more. I see Bettina nodding a lot there. Did you want to build on that?
I think it's terrific. There's so many programs out there, and I think sometimes we're afraid to take that first step because you're not sure where it is. And don't worry, the more you learn and the more you look out to understand that any building that you're in is a system. And just like our bodies are systems, we want to treat not just individual bits of it, but you want to treat the whole of it. And the more you understand how things are interconnected and how you can make change that makes sense. So don't put in, diamond studded teeth, for instance, if you're just a simple person. Do things in balance. Just like we think about our body and having balance in our body, we want to have the same thing with the buildings that we live in. We want to find balance.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you, Bettina. Jane, I see you also nodding as well. Or David, did you want to jump in?
Well,
David,
I just want to build on that.
Yeah, of course.
Effectively, both the home energy audit and what Bettina just said, one of the key things that everybody can do is look at your Enbridge bill and look at your Toronto Hydro bill. Those things are provided to you. They're online. You could see your monthly consumption, and you can clearly see what you're spending on heating, hot water, air conditioning, and plug load. And that may give you a sense of where you should save and what you should do. I hope that's helpful.
And if I can push on you one more, because I feel like we're at that's great advice. So if I was looking at those bills and pulling my hair out, what step am I going to take to move in a more sustainable direction?
The key is you can see when your air conditioning went on by your hydro bill jumping in June, July, and August. And you could separate your heating, gas heating, from your hot water just by knowing when you turned on your furnace. So when you see those amounts, and you can tie money to them, you can see if it's beneficial to insulate and to do other things.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And,
Thank you,
I'll
Dave.
just add, the federal, just to build on incentives, the feds are coming out with $2 billion. So the feds are going to give the province more money, which will either go to the IESO and to Enbridge to help us improve. Thanks.
Thank you, David. And Jen, I haven't heard from you for a while, and I feel like you come at this from a unique perspective. What advice would you have for our audience on sustainable living actions they could take? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. Hold on. I don't want to miss any of your advice. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I love all the advice from the panelists. I think, you know, if there's one more thing I can add, while you are looking at your the energy bills, how about invite your children to look through that together? Because we know it will require generations of a continuous effort for our survival. I really love the presentation from Dr. Dianne Saxe at the beginning, and in one of her slides, there were two children sitting in the front. They are really leading the next, you know, the big steps for us. So if you invite your children to look at the energy bills together and look at what you can do at home, if you think this is kind of maybe too much for them, I would say download our app and let the kids to play, to learn why, you know, how species are connecting to each other, how we are part of the entire ecosystem, and what is our impact. And most importantly, what we can do together to make some positive changes for this world, even at their young age. So that's really was building the hope together with the future generation. That would be something I would suggest. Thank you.
And that is a great suggestion, coming from someone who's enjoyed video games maybe a little bit too much for large segments of his life. To have that option, that was never even an option when we got into video games. So again, absolutely incredible. Lainey, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Even going off of that, again, having or setting a good example, the importance of that, and having or getting people involved regardless of generations. I think that importance of community, that's something as an organization that we really value, involving anybody, especially in our landscape of plant-based eating, regardless of where they are in that journey. One thing that people could try out if they're curious to learn more about the impact that their food choices have on the environment is to try our 7-Day Veggie Challenge. It can be found at 7dayveggiechallenge.com. I'm pretty sure that's the URL, but I can put that in the live chat as well. And it's just a free online 7-day challenge where you get plant-based recipes sent to you. So if you're trying it out, want to just kind of reduce your consumption of animal products, that's a good way to just get started and kind of like learn more about the impact. Yeah, just be, I guess just to go off of it, I did a little bit of math because I was also curious about specifically water consumption. And according to the FAO, it was 11,900 kilometers cubed of fresh water annually that is consumed by the livestock industry. So it's a really great place to start, just on like a larger scale, just by being a bit more conscious of what you're consuming and how you can kind of help lower that number a little bit.
Let me just add to the water issue. People forget that even though Toronto Hydro is next to Lake Ontario, there's a massive amount of energy to make clean water, pump it through the city, and have you literally waste it by having your tap running when you're brushing your teeth or leaving the water on. So I think that's a very important thing in terms of the environment. And it saves money by having low flow toilets and shower heads and actions that you
Okay. Were you finished, David?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. And so I love that last point that Lainey touched on, was setting a good example. And I love that the Toronto Veg Association is very open to whatever stage in your journey you are in transitioning your diet, and very welcoming. And I think that ties back to helping people take that first step. So Jane had a great point with intergenerational engagement, which is wonderful. Helena mentioning Better Homes TO, and David bringing up taking a look at your energy bill. So we only have about a minute left. So I just wanted to see if maybe by any chance, if any of you remember what your first step was.
Sorry, Andre, I just want to say on the point of what can your next step be, if you go to the Better Homes Store, they point you to the EnerGuide Home Energy Evaluation. So that's a really great place to start doing an evaluation, getting a sense of where your home is. So, and my first step, it was just, I think just learning about what's going on, and then it just sort of inspires you to take action.
Yeah, not being afraid, don't be afraid to ask questions, because none of us knew when we first started out with our companies, none of us knew what we were doing, and we just learned, and you can learn with us. We're all in this together.
I can't agree more.
And I'll just say, I saw the first solar that was 10 times the cost of current solar. And now we can literally put solar on our roof. I think our roofs will soon be solar roofs in some ways. And we have the power to the technologies. We don't have the structural changes needed.
For sure. And Jane, we'll just give you the last word before we wrap up the panel.
Sure.
I felt like you had one more thing you wanted to get in there.
Yeah, I can't wait to add more. I think I definitely agree with whatever Bettina said. I think, when we started, we're just really kind of parents with deep concerns about the future generations. So like we use our skill sets in the video game trying to help, regardless what your business background, your skill sets are, as long as you are willing to help, I think your passion and your heart will help you find a path.
That's wonderful. And I thank you all so much for participating. Clearly you could go on all day with each and every one of our panelists. So I encourage you to do so as much as you can in your chat. And I'm just reminded of one quote that I heard through Climate Fast, was in their kitchen tables conversations. One of the things that they bring up is when you poll people at home, everyone is concerned about climate change. But then the question is, when you ask them if they think their neighbors are, nobody thinks their neighbor is. So just remember that there is a space where everyone out there is concerned. And as you take that first step and connect with other people, is how you're going to get more sustainable living solutions into your life. So thank you everyone for participating. Gabby, I think we are turning it back to you to take back over.
Yes, thank you so much, Andre, an amazing panelist. And thank you so much to all of our exhibitors. Please go check them out after this or even during this. But our next panel is Connecting with Nature, moderated by Sophia Chorney. Sophia is a careers and cooperative education teacher for adults by day and a passionate environmentalist by night. She has organized dozens of beach cleanups and has volunteered for a variety of environmental initiatives. She was recognized as one of Canada's top 25 under 25 environmentalists in 2018 by Starfish Canada. Over to you, Sophia.
Thank you so much, Gabby. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you also so much to the EcoFair team, all the volunteers who are making this amazing event possible. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to moderate the Connecting with Nature panel. So connecting with nature is not only important to develop that sense of stewardship that's important for our planet and environment, but also beneficial for our health. So I'm really excited to introduce our panel of 5 amazing panelists. So first up, we have Mariko. So Mariko is a local eco-author and illustrator with a science, architecture, and engineering background. Mariko Uda aspires to write informative and delightful picture books that educate, inspire, and empower Torontonians of all ages and backgrounds. So So Mariko's here. Next up, we have Rochelle, who is the founder and executive director of A Greener Future, which is an environmental nonprofit that promotes environmental preservation through organizing litter cleanups, educational programs, and events. Third, we have John with Friends of Cedarvale. So Friends of Cedarvale is a volunteer organization dedicated to maintaining and improving Cedarvale Park and Ravine in Toronto. And the fourth panelist is R.A. Morris, who goes by Tony. Tony is the author of Beyond What Separates Us, a timely work of speculative fiction that offers a glimpse of what societies may look like if we continue on our path of ecological degradation. And fifth, we have Andrew from Transition Toronto. Transition Toronto is a community-based organization working towards a positive vision of a Toronto that continues to support a high quality of life as it leaves fossil fuels behind. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And without further ado, we'll get to the first question. So the order that I introduced everyone in is the order that everyone's going to answer the questions. And remember that if you have any questions, just leave them in the YouTube chat, and we'll do our best to select your question at the end of this panel. So number one, can you please tell us about yourself and your initiative and what inspired you to start it? And we'll start with Mariko.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Mariko, and my website's ecomariko.com, and this is my book, Where Does It All Come From? Where Does It All Go? Toronto's Water, Energy, and Waste System. And I wrote this book because I noticed that a lot of us don't know where our water comes from, where our electricity or natural gas comes from, or where our garbage goes. And I felt that this was basic information that we should all know, because it helps us see how we're part of the environment. And once we see how we're part of the environment, we can assess where we are and improve that relationship. And I also made the book very specific. So it's about Toronto. And for instance, you can figure out from this map which of the 4 sewage treatment plants your poop goes to. So I made it specific because I think for a real relationship with our environment, we have to have a specific relationship. So that's what my book's about. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mariko. I definitely want to get your book. It seems really interesting, and yeah, you made it really easy to understand our water systems. Awesome. So next up, we will have Rochelle.
Hi, so I'm Rochelle. I'm the executive director and founder of the environmental nonprofit A Greener Future. So the main thing that A Greener Future does is litter cleanups. We do over 100 litter cleanups along the shorelines of Lake Ontario every spring between Niagara-on-the-Lake and Kingston. So Toronto is actually a big section of the lake that we host our cleanups. We also run a program called the Butt Blitz, which focuses on cigarette butt litter. So we're always looking for volunteers, and we're a community-based organization. We try and bring all the communities kind of together, since we all have one thing in common, and that's Lake Ontario. So the reason I got started with it was because I ended up going down to the waterfront, noticed some garbage, picked it up, and realized that there was garbage everywhere I looked, and I wasn't going to be able to pick it up all by myself. So since 2014, I've been gathering volunteers and hosting cleanups, and we've picked up over 1.5 million pieces of litter to date.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I've participated in some of your cleanups, and I really liked the content that you gave to people to share as well. You have some great infographics, and it just makes it a lot more easy to create the event, to promote it, and to have those awesome graphics to share as well. And I also love that you have participants send the cigarette butts to TerraCycle. So rather than just throwing it out, we take the extra step to also recycle them through TerraCycle.
Yeah, exactly. We're always learning, and I love that we can get feedback from our volunteers and our interns, and keep making things better and put things where they're supposed to go.
For sure. Thank you so much. Next up, we have John with Friends of Cedarvale answering our first question.
Have I now unmuted myself?
Yes.
Good. Okay. I'm John Cummings. I'm the chair of Friends of Cedarvale, and that was introduced earlier. I was asked to answer the question what inspired me to start with Friends of Cedarvale, and it was because there was no friend of my local park, Cedarvale, and I was aware that other parks had friends groups, so I decided to start one, and that was 8 years ago. We now have a committee of 6 that runs it, and we have 376 people on our email list. To get more information, I would direct you to our website, which if you Google Friends of Cedarvale, it brings up the website, which is friendsofcedarvale.wordpress.com. And the things to look at there would be About Us, which tells you what events are coming up. My blog, which I write about once a month, talks about the park and things that are happening in the park. A thing called Cedarvale Park, which includes a section called Flora and Fauna, where we have lists of all of the plants, trees, birds, and butterflies in the park. And finally, there's a section called Resources, and that's where we put all our videos. And there are several videos there that are well worth watching. So that's a brief introduction to Friends of Cedarvale.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Definitely need to take care of our parks and keep them beautiful. Yeah, and for everyone's website links, those are going to be on the EcoFair website. So just make sure that if you're interested in any of the things that our panelists are sharing, you can find them on there. Next up, we have R.A. Morris, or Tony, the author of Beyond What Separates Us.
Thanks, Sophia. So yeah, I'm the author of the recently released eco-fiction novel, Beyond What Separates Us. As Sophia mentioned, the novel is a timely work of speculative fiction that looks at what our societies may look like if we continue on our path of ecological degradation. It's told from the perspective of 4 main characters in different parts of the world as they struggle to overcome challenges and decide what kind of world they want to live in. I began writing the novel, this is my first novel, as a way to express my own anxieties about the future if we do not drastically change our relationship with the natural world. But ultimately, the book examines the best and worst aspects of humanity and ultimately the resiliency of nature. The book is available online at Chapters Indigo or Amazon, so please check it out.
Thank you so much, Tony. Sounds like a really interesting book, and I'm sure that there's a lot of, it's a fiction book, right? So I'm sure that there's also a lot of great educational content in there too that we can learn from. Then finally, last but not least, we have Andrew from Transition Toronto.
Yeah, hi, thanks. So my name is Andrew Knox. I'm the president of Transition Toronto. Transition Toronto is one of the transition towns you'll find all over the world. They are all action-oriented responses to climate change that approach solutions at the community scale. It being action-oriented is what makes me interested in it, and also being involved at the community scale. Like Dianne Saxe said, our own carbon footprint is a good place to start and a terrible place to stop. who really have to get out and get involved in their communities and do projects there. One of our projects is this EcoFair. We've been an organizational partner in the EcoFair for almost 10 years now. I'm very happy with this year's EcoFair. Thanks, everybody. Others include Treemobile. You can see at the website transitiontreemobile.org. We provide food-bearing trees and plants to people, not just in Toronto, but we also work with Transition Guelph to deliver in Guelph. And we've also now gone into Hamilton and we'll open in Kingston this year. We also run the project Food Up Front. Both of those two, Treemobile and Food Up Front, you can hear the founders and operators of those projects interviewed on the podcast Food Garden Life from episodes from this summer. So if you want to hear more about that, you can connect with Transition Toronto at transitiontoronto.org. Check out our projects at our projects page. You can get involved, and I welcome people to even apply to join our steering committee, because that's where a lot of our projects start. Transition Toronto is a very effective incubator for community projects, and so I'd encourage you to get in touch with us if you're interested in that.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, plenty of ways to get involved. I'm sure that there's a way that everyone can help, for sure. Thank you so much, everyone. So we'll go over to the next question, which is, what is an accomplishment that you're proud of when it comes to your nature-connected work? And we will start with Mariko.
So in terms of accomplishments, well, when I hear back from readers, I get excited. For instance, when I hear from like parents reading with their toddlers, because I figure a long time ago, parents would pass on this kind of information to their kids about how everything works and where everything's going and coming from. But nowadays, sometimes parents don't know and kids are asking. So with this book, they're able to kind of learn about it together and then discuss it. So when I hear about them discussing it, I'm like, yes. And I'm also excited when newcomers read my book, because a lot of times people new to Toronto, they come and they don't really know how things work, or to Canada even. And they ask someone who's been living here a long time, and that person doesn't know either. So they're kind of out of the loop, and it sort of feels, I imagine, like being in someone else's kitchen. So with this book, I'm kind of trying to explain how it all works, and I'm hoping that that will help engage newcomers more readily to becoming involved in environmental things stuff. And the book's written very simply so that kids could read it, people who have ESL can read it, and so on. So yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Yeah, so it's becoming like a household conversation starter, and yeah, sounds like a really worthwhile discussion to have with your family or friends. Beautiful. Thank you. We'll go on to our next panelist, which is Rochelle.
Yeah, so something that I'm really proud of is the way that A Greener Future has kind of worked within the COVID-19 restrictions over the past months, because usually we do host 100 litter cleanups along the shores of Lake Ontario, but because of COVID-19, we couldn't host any gatherings. So we had to think quickly and make some changes. And I decided that I was going to stand up paddleboard across the lake to raise awareness about plastic pollution instead. So I did that. It took me 18 days and 92 hours to paddleboard from Kingston to Niagara-on-the-Lake. But I was so happy with how much support that we got along the way, because we were able to raise awareness about plastic pollution through social media mostly. And there was people that came out and waved to me from the shore. Lots of people that wanted to get involved with our cleanups when we can get it back to that, which we will be in the spring, because now we know how we can host events safely. And I think just most importantly, it showed me how strong our communities really can be, and that so many people have a huge appreciation for nature. So for me, being outside, is like, I love it. It just gives me so much calm and inspiration. And being on the water for 92 hours, I've never felt closer to Lake Ontario than I do now. Just being able to immerse yourself in that kind of experience is amazing. And I picked up about 75 pieces of litter out of the lake along the way, but I also had my team following me on shore, and they picked up about 40,000 pieces from the shore. So even though we couldn't host our public events, we were still able to make an impact. And I think it made the people who were involved and did pick up litter a little bit closer to nature just by being outside and really taking it in and having that appreciation.
For sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, doing cleanups is definitely a great way to get connected with nature. Thank you. Third, we have John with Friends of Cedarvale.
Right. I'll have to get Rochelle going on Cedarvale Park. We have a big litter problem there, which I'm trying to deal with daily. I thought in terms of accomplishments, I'd talk about a particular thing that we've been working on this year, which is invasive.
John, we can't hear you. Okay, so in the meantime, we'll come back to John. We're just going to go over to R.A. Morris or Tony for his answer.
So my novel was published in September. So like Mariko, I'm kind of, proud of some of the reviews that I've got thus far, that it's really resonating with readers and making them recognize the challenges we face, but that ultimately, if we come together and act now, that we can kind of prevent what happens in the book from potentially happening, but we still have time to act if we get, start to work together a little better. So I'll leave it there.
Great, thank you so much. And finally, Andrew from Transition Toronto.
Yeah, I'll just say we, through Treemobile and Food Up Front, have planted thousands of trees, food-bearing trees and shrubs, which not just gets volunteers planting, but gets people tending their own gardens, and all of that involves connection to nature.
Great, thank you. So we have about 2 minutes left. I'm going to see if maybe John can answer this past question in his final question, which is, what is the #1 tip for people in the audience to take away for creating a deeper connection with nature? So let's just keep it very short.
Okay. So I would say that just like when you're camping or up north, you are as connected to the environment in the city as you are in rural areas. And you could put a sign at your tap saying, "This water is Lake Ontario." Thanks.
Love it. Thanks, Mariko. Second person?
Yeah, I think just getting outside and, enjoying it and take on new activities, go hiking, try paddle boarding, have new experiences in the outdoors.
For sure, love that. Third, John from Friends of Cedarvale.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'll jump to the third question then. Tips for people to get to foster a deeper connection with nature. So here they are. Get out into nature. Leave your iPhone behind. Leave your earplugs behind. Go alone. Observe and listen. That's it.
Love it. Thank you so much, John. Tony?
I just say, to echo some of the things we heard at the beginning, act, I agree, find those special places, but, we really need to get louder and bigger as a group and inform some of the policies that are being developed at each level of government. So, make your voice heard.
Thank you, Tony. And finally, Andrew from Transition Toronto.
Yeah, I think I would encourage people to connect people to nature by getting them to connect to the people in their community and working with the people in their community to do good things for nature.
Beautiful. Yeah, so thank you so much, all of you, once again, for the work that you do. If you would like to learn about any of these panelists, they are on the EcoFair website, and I'll pass it over to you, Gabby.
Thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you, everybody, for telling us all of that amazing information. Our next and final panel for today is on sustainable shopping, moderated by Erin Andrews, founder and executive director of Impact Zero Foundation, which is working with small and medium-sized businesses and individuals to build Toronto's circular economy. Erin also hosts the Inner Circle podcast, shares circular economy research and education, and walks passionate people through the steps required to achieve this much-needed transition. Over to you, Erin.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much, Gabby, for the intro. I'm very excited to introduce the panelists for our Sustainable Shopping panel this afternoon. If you have questions for our panels, just as you did for the others, please post them in the YouTube comments for us to answer at the end of our panel. So first up is going to be Laura D. Laura is the owner of Studio Miso Love, where she makes handmade jewelry and accessories. She's reimagining how jewelry is made by mixing unconventional materials like vintage crystal, reclaimed leather, semi-precious stones, and nature's bounty. Thank you, Laura, for joining us on our panel today. Next up is Erica Reyes. Erica is the co-founder of Inuit, a company working towards rewarding sustainable behavior and building systems to help individuals do their part. They're a takeout option for businesses and a loyalty program for dreamers, doers, pioneers, disruptors, and innovators. Thank you, Erica, for joining us as well. Next up is Lowell Lowe. Lowell is an experienced artist, architect, and founder of his own firm, Lowell Lowe Design, Inc. He's also a certified green building professional. He integrates green elements into his work by incorporating sustainable materials, using passive solar window orientation, and being mindful of the entire life cycle of the material he uses in his work, and much more. Now, I'd like to also introduce Fran Freeman. Fran is the owner of Sticky Bees Urban Honey. She's a small batch producer of surplus raw, unfiltered urban honey, gently robbed from Toronto's bees using sustainable beekeeping practices. She's also raising public awareness of the importance of pollinators and their impact on our planet. Last but not least is Kim Klopp. Kim is the founder and owner of Ecoexistence on St. Clair West, an eco-friendly lifestyle store specializing in all things better for you and the planet. Along with helping bringing sustainable products to Toronto, Kim is an advocate for sustainable living in the city. Welcome, Kim. So thank you everyone for joining us today. The first question, we'll start with you, Laura. I want to know, how does your business help individuals live more sustainably?
Okay, hi everybody. I'm super excited to be here. So Studio Miso Love offers everyone a wonderful opportunity to live and wear eco. Reclaimed leather meets vintage, meets semi-precious stones, meets glam. And it's handmade with love, one-of-a-kind eco jewelry, gifts and accessories made in Canada. And I have some very exciting news to share with you. Coming soon, so follow us on Instagram, where you can go to instagram.com/studio MIZOLOVE/.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Laura. So next up, Erica, how does your business help individuals live more sustainably? Oh, make sure you unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. Well, Inuit is a zero-waste app, and it was inspired after seeing the insights of what sustainability in the white fiber, and it will help people
Erica, I think your mic is very quiet, so maybe we can move on to Lowell. would you like to let us know how your business helps individuals live more sustainably?
Yes, hi, thanks. Yes, so I am, I guess, repurposing plastics and building these wooden furniture that is related to urban agriculture. And these are sort of examples, small initiatives, small projects that can, lead to small steps that can lead to bigger steps, and that shows that our small individual actions we are all can count. Yes, thanks.
Definitely agreed. So next up, Fran, how does your business help individuals live more sustainably?
Hi, I hope you can hear me. Sticky Bees Urban Honey is focused on producing hyperlocal honey and other hive products. We use organic and ecological practices in managing our hives. So for example, we don't feed the bees sugar, we don't give them artificial pollen, we don't medicate with antibiotics, and those unfortunately are all common practices in beekeeping. We also harvest sustainably, and we teach people how to raise their own bees responsibly.
Definitely, that's awesome. So next up, Kim, we'll come back to Erica afterwards, but Kim, how does your business help individuals live more sustainably?
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be a part of this awesome panel and the others. And we've been in business as of last week, 12 years. And I think that we've offered people a safe space to transition from conventional products. And it's great to tell people not to use this or not to use that, but really what do they replace things with? So I designed the store like the rooms in the house. So there's a kitchen, a bathroom, a bedroom, and a kid's room. And we try to fill each sort of section in the store with the most sustainable, local, reusable, zero footprinted products that we can find. Yeah.
Awesome. That's so important to make it accessible to individuals as well. Love that. Erica, let's come back to you. Let's see if your audio is working. How does your business help individuals?
Yeah, so we're a zero waste people have as many samples there. So we have a bunch of components that don't waste, but these don't be done waste. For all we want to have components that are really that are
Okay, sorry, Erica. I think we're still having some mic issues. So we'll move on to the next question. So first up, we'll go kind of in the backwards order. So Kim, how did you get into doing what you're doing?
Well, I was working downtown, and I was feeling like the hippie girl there, because I'd always had recycling bins and was doing all the managing myself, and so I really felt that I was living one way downtown and another way when I would come home. And I was looking into buying the company I was working with, and all of a sudden it came to me that, I don't want to drive downtown anymore. I don't want to do all those things. I'd love to walk to work. And why don't I offer people alternatives to what they conventionally used, and what was really harmful for our planet. And again, 12, 13 years ago, there wasn't a lot available, and there wasn't a lot of people understanding that there was items available. So I decided I live right by the Byrnes, and I'm sad that I'm just not walking over there for EcoFair. But I thought, I just actually want to work and live and be a part of my community and make a difference where I can.
Definitely. I think that's something a lot of us entrepreneurs can relate to. It's like you see things happening, but you want to be part of the change as well.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So next up, Fran, how did you get into what you're doing, especially with beekeeping? That seems like such a unique space to be in. And also you need to unmute your mic.
Thank you for the reminder. I would say that I've always been interested in issues of food security and self-sufficiency. So probably initially as part of the Back to the Land movement, it was just a natural outgrowth to look in terms of beekeeping. And I knew that I wanted to do it organically. There were no organic beekeepers that I knew of at the time, no educational resources. no mentors. So it's been a long road, and along the way I joined a beekeeping collective, and we got to share our mistakes and learn from them. That's why I think it's really important for me to pass on what I've learned to others through classes and mentoring.
That's amazing. I love that. So now, Luell, we'll move on to you. So what did you, or how did you get into doing what you're doing with your architecture and your art?
With my art, I had an art teacher that I followed for many years when I was in high school, and then I would go back, and it's a long story, but just having that setting and that I could go to, and it was almost like they were volunteering their time to just have us, paint, anyways, and then the furniture and stuff, plastics and these wooden designs that I'm doing is because of the work as an architect, mostly doing like permit drawings. When there's not enough work, then I would delve into these small design projects that I can do here at my shared office and see the results very fast. And so instead of, like a commercial project or a new building or something that takes like years, right? So yes, that is mostly what, and it's all because I like to draw and design. And that was why I'm still doing what I'm doing. Yes, thanks.
Definitely. And arts are such a big component of the sustainability movement as well. You have to be creative to think of solutions to these problems. So I definitely think that's very applicable. So Erica, let's try again. How did you get into what you were doing with Inuit?
Okay, can you hear me better now? Cool. So Inuit app is a zero waste pickup app that it's going beyond the waste, because for me, I was working as a marketing professional over 7 years, and I was super focused and passionate about increasing sales. And one day I realized that my decisions, not only as a consumer, but also as a professional, were impacting the real world. So for me, in 2019, I decided to quit my industry to use my skills and passion to reduce single-use plastics. And actually, Inuit is just part of this journey to understanding our daily impacts. And I really want to help more people to understand better this big monster.
Definitely making it like that tangible solution that people can really understand in their life instead of this big scary monster of climate change. Awesome. Thanks, Erica. So next, Laura, how did you get into what you're doing with your jewelry making and arts?
Thank you. It was really my wish to change fast fashion into slow fashion and working creatively with my hands. I've always loved to, I don't mean to sound repetitive, but I've always loved to draw and create with my hands. So basically it's that, and creating new and interesting pieces that can be eco at the same time.
Definitely love that. So as we all kind of run sustainability focused businesses, that we definitely have a lot more hurdles than typical businesses would be experiencing. Like obviously business is hard for everyone, but having these conscious decisions as part of what we're working on tends to present a couple challenges. So I want to know what's the biggest challenge that you experience in doing the work that you do and providing these sustainable solutions to individuals? So Laura, we can start with you again. What's one challenge that you experience?
Okay, so first of all is to keep creating new, stylish, and quality pieces while still being eco. And another, sort of tiny hurdle, I would say, is to keep the packaging eco-friendly and truly eco. So yeah, that's a big win for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the material or reusable, or there's so many options there. That's definitely a difficult one.
Especially in covering plastic stuff, like plastics are oftentimes used to pack jewelry and accessories, and I'm trying to stay away from that.
Definitely. That makes a lot of sense. So Erica, what's one challenge in doing the work that you're doing with Inuit?
I think for me, it's the complexity of a problem that seems so evident. Understanding that the problem is not the material, but the way we use it. Therefore, convenience and misinformation, creating the solution that tackles the root cause and not only the material.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and tracking the entire life cycle, because if you reuse plastic, that's better than single-use paper, for example. So it depends on what the systems are along with the materials for sure. And Inuit's focused on that system solution, so love that. So Lowell, what is one challenge in doing the work that you do?
Yes, I want to, I guess, bring up the issue of our dependence on engineering over and the fact that, you know, like because in order to get like a project, a building project, steel, concrete, it has to be done by an engineer, not an architect. So and we don't really need to use a lot of these I guess you know, so overbearing, is that the word? You know, overstructured materials, because the whole, I think we have, you know, enough skyscrapers, and now there's a movement in the Peterborough area of Ontario. These homeowners and contractors are calling for natural materials like hemp, straw, and wood, because they sequester carbon, unlike man-made materials. Yes. So, thank you.
Yeah, materials again. It seems like it's a theme with all of us. Are trying to find sustainable solutions, and materials are such a problem in some cases. So Fran, what is one challenge that you experience in doing your work?
I would say being mindful of native bees in the decisions I make about managing honeybees. Honeybees are a managed species, native bees are not. And honeybees can have an impact. There are concerns that honeybees maybe are gobbling up all the resources that the native bees require, or that they may be vectors for disease or pests. And so in the first case, we're on 250 acres. The honeybees require only about 10 acres of forage. So the balance of that acreage is available to native bees. We work with hygienic bees, and in a nutshell, hygienic bees have social behaviors that compensate or mitigate disease. So it's kind of like being disease resistant or pest resistant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, I mean, I don't know a lot about honeybees, obviously, but it seems like there are a lot of factors that you have to manage, especially when there's like that natural side versus the other side. So
you want to keep the honeybees as healthy as possible.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, Kim, what is one challenge in doing your work with ecoexistence?
Well, I guess besides Amazon as a small business, I would have to say it's really the manufacturing and the consumption issue. So trying to find an equal balance for me, you know, I would prefer to have my entire store be local and all the things I ever dream of, but unfortunately that doesn't exist. But in the 12 years that I've had the shop, the selection has become much better, and offerings for people, and yeah, so really it's just I don't want to promote consumerism. You know, people always say, oh, you only have 6 of this and 6 of that. I'm not here to stock the world. I'm just here to offer alternatives to conventional products and let people know about them. So I guess really for me, it's manufacturing, because I understand the packaging and the waste and the boxes and all of it. So yeah, I guess finding a perfect product is almost elusive.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's like this theme of it's the materials, but then it's also what we do with those materials across the board, no matter kind of what industry we're working in. So yeah, definitely that resonates with me a lot, I know. So we just have,
I look at a lot at end of life. Where is this going to be in the beginning, at its end? So yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So we just have 1 minute left, and I just want to do a quick rapid fire of what's one piece of advice that you have for people trying to reduce their carbon footprint? And we'll start with Kim.
So I would say start really small because every drop in the ocean counts.
Awesome. Thanks, Lara. So now we can go over to Kim.
I think you can't talk about lowering your carbon footprint without talking about meat consumption. And I still eat some meat, but I'm very conscious of it. So really, I think that instead of meatless Mondays, people could consider meat Mondays, and the other 6 days eat vegetarian. That would make a dramatic impact on our planet. And then really secondarily, what you put on your body. I'm really concerned about skincare and body care because if it's on you, it's in you.
Perfect. Love that too. Luelle, what's one tip you have for people trying to reduce their carbon footprint?
Okay. If 3 quick ones, does that be too many? Okay.
Go for it.
Take care of plants and indoor plants. Repurposing plastics and scraps that we have you can use to make small art projects. You'll be amazed. And by growing your own, taking care of plants and growing your food in your backyards and indoors, and learn to compost indoors. And recycling of plastics, they're all interconnected. Thanks.
Definitely. Especially being in a condo. You can compost in a condo. Fun tip. Look it up. Kathy's Creepy Crawlers, I think her business is. Love that. Okay, Erica, you are, I think, the last person. Actually, Fran, we didn't go to Fran. So we'll do Erica first, then Fran. What's one tip that you have for people trying to reduce their footprint?
For me, it's always understanding your motivation, thinking about why you want to do this, and then start up with a very tiny challenge, And then after you go with this tiny challenge, for me, it was reducing my single-use plastic bags, for instance. And then when you achieve it, then you move to the next challenge, also little, because small steps, but consistent steps are better than big challenges that will paralyze you.
Building habits. Perfect. And Fran, you have the last say. What is one tip you have for people trying to reduce their footprint?
It would be eat locally, support your local farmers, shop locally.
Simple. Perfect. Love that. Okay, thank you so much for the 5 of you to join us today to chat about your business and all the things that you have to do behind the scenes and also how people can engage in the cause. I really appreciate it. So we'll jump back to Gabby now to continue with the rest of the program.
So much, Sharon. I'd like to thank all of the moderators for organizing the panels and questions, and all the exhibitors for sharing so much about themselves, their organizations, and the important work they do in their answers. They certainly are green champions leading the way into the Green New Decade. Now it's time for our raffle prizes, generously donated by our wonderful 2020 EcoFair exhibitors. There's a link to the raffle form in the chat. Click on the link and get ready to choose the raffle prizes you'd like to win. This is your chance to get lucky. I'm going to share my screen so that you can check out all these amazing prizes. So give me one moment. Sorry, everybody. So we have these amazing raffle prizes: Sage Living 1 hour Eco Home Consultation, Springbay Studios iBiome Changing Ice, Kids Educational Game for iOS, the Roots Collaborative 30-minute Home Energy Consultation, more raffle prizes for connecting with nature, Transition Toronto, it's Fruit Tree and Garden Starter Kit, for a Greener Future, Zero Waste Consultation Kit, R.A. Morris author, Beyond What Separates Us ebook. And I believe lastly, Sustainable Shopping, Sticky Bees, Urban Honey, Jar of Honey, and Tour of Humber Arboretum. Dang, I wish I could say that word. Ecoexistence, Virtual Consultation, and $100 gift card. And more raffle prizes donated by other EcoFair exhibitors. We have Fatal Light Awareness Program, Bird Protection Window Stickers, Rescued Bears, Stuffed Animal Knits Sweater Kit. And once again, these were all donated by our generous EcoFair exhibitors. I believe these links are going to be in the chat for how you can raffle and enter these amazing raffles and win these amazing private prizes. So please go check out the chat and enter all of these. But next up, we welcome our EcoFair co-host organizations to say a few words. First up is Andrew Knox, president of Transition Toronto, an organization helping to put Toronto neighborhoods on the path to a post-carbon future. Andrew, you're up.
Thanks very much. I just want to say thank you very much to all the volunteers that made the EcoFair possible. In March, we were asking the question about whether we would do the EcoFair or not, because we knew that the pandemic was going to prevent us from doing our typical annual Witchwood Farms live and in-person EcoFair. And we have gone from wondering whether we should give up, whether it was possible to do this, to having an amazing event that lasted 4 weeks virtually, brought across amazing information for people, and was well oversubscribed. There are events that I myself could not get into because they were already sold out by the time I went to try to get to them. I think that's fantastic. I heard from my volunteers, my Transition Toronto volunteers who were working directly on this, that this is a quotation, Lee Adamson is a force. So when we're talking about connecting to nature earlier, one tip for connecting to nature is get to know Lee Adamson. Apparently she is a force of nature herself. She put a lot of work into making this work, and I want to say thanks to her as well as everybody else who worked on this. Transition towns are a lot about resilience, and people often wonder or think about or write whole books on what resilience is. Well, this is resilience. The fact that we could go from not knowing whether we could do this EcoFair to the amazing event that we have. I really think it's cool that we got Dianne Saxe on this EcoFair, but I think it's even cooler that our MC is a grade 11 student. I've said a few times that one of the things that's the best thing you can do for the environment is get involved in your community. And I just love it when people jump in and it's like, don't wait till you get a PhD, just start doing it. That I think represents the spirit of what we need to see to really make this a green decade, and we've got that opportunity. Thank you very much again to everybody involved. I've enjoyed this so much, and just super grateful to have been able to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for those kind and inspirational words. I'd now like to introduce Colin Love, Executive Director of Green Neighbors Network and our EcoFair sponsor recruitment volunteer. Green Neighbors Network is co-hosting the EcoFair for the first time this year. It's a network of people and green groups helping to make Toronto neighborhoods greener, healthier, and more sustainable. Colin, go ahead.
Great. Thanks so much, Gabby. Yeah, on behalf of the Green Neighbors Network of Toronto, or GNN, it's my privilege on behalf of the team to be involved as a co-host along with Transition Toronto. It's also actually my pleasure to give a little shout out here to all of our amazing sponsors who've helped to make this whole event happen. Most of us saw the Van City video earlier in the program, who's our lead sponsor. That's Van City Community Investment Bank, very in line with what the events have all been about. So thank you, Van City. Meridian Credit Union, also a longtime supporter of EcoFair. So thank you, Meridian. Stop Plastics. Stop Plastics sponsored the Microplastic Madness film. So thank you, Stop Plastics. And last but not least, Small Barking Dog Media helped to screen the film Bicycle. So again, links will be in the chat for all these organizations. We really encourage you all to check them out. I guess piggybacking on some of Andrew's words, we're going to move actually in the next section into, I think, personally, one of the most important parts of today's event, and arguably maybe of all 16 events that have been hosted virtually over the last month through EcoFair, and it has to do with volunteers. Before then, I'm going to give actually a shameless plug for GNN, if that's okay. For those who might not be familiar with what GNN is all about, in essence, the GNN is about connecting with these local grassroots community organizations, neighborhood-based, many of which we've heard from today as exhibitors, and really helping to support their goals. So really GNN exists to serve these member groups as well as individuals. Encourage you, if you're not familiar with GNN, please do check out the website. It's in the chat. And in particular, check out the past newsletters. It gives a sense of sort of as we all know, the incredible breadth of the momentum within the Toronto area in terms of the green movement. And also this fair itself, the EcoFair itself, it's funny, I think out of the leadership team of the GNN, of the Green Neighbors Network of Toronto, everyone has been involved in some way or another in this EcoFair. So it's really been, it's been a privilege to be involved. And yeah, please do consider signing up for GNN if you haven't already. And most importantly, if you're connected with any local green groups, please do let us know in the membership form, because that's really what we're trying to strive for, is help to support, GNN's goals is to help realize the goals of other organizations, because together we're all stronger. So anyways, thanks so much. And on to back to you, Gabby, for some volunteer recognition. Shout out to Lee Adamson.
Yes, absolutely. Shout out to Lee Adamson. Thank you so much, Colin. So as Colin said, we've thanked the exhibitors, the co-hosts and sponsors, and now it's time to thank our amazing volunteers. You'll be amazed to learn that the EcoFair is planned and run 100% by volunteers, whether behind the scenes or as MCs, moderators, presenters, or panelists. All contributions, large and small, are what makes the EcoFair possible. Here's a very special volunteer thank you and message from some of this year's enthusiastic volunteers. We're going to be playing this video now. Well, it sure looks like fun to be an EcoFair volunteer. I happen to know that they have a big virtual EcoFair after party coming up. If you're interested in joining them, they'd love to have you join the 2021 EcoFair team. Just send an email. The address will be in the chat. So now that we've thanked our amazing volunteers, we'll now move on to the exhibitor Q&A. So get your questions ready, pop them in the chat, and we'll get things rolling. Exhibitors, please turn on your videos and get ready for our first question. So I believe we're starting off with a question for some of our exhibitors in our first panel, which I believe is, do you have any tips or websites condo dwellers can look into? Yeah, go ahead, Bettina.
Just a very quick response. I know sometimes you feel because it's a big building, you don't have that much control, and it does depend on your building. But having contests between neighbors or between floors to see which floor you can take a baseline and then measure how much energy you guys are using, especially gas energy, and then challenging each other to lower that and placing that up on bulletin board. It's a great way to build community. It's a great way to challenge one another to lower your consumption. And it's just something fun to do as well.
Yes, thank you so much, Bettina. Andrew, go ahead.
So this past year was the first year that Treemobile supplied trees to tower dwellers. So through the Danforth Village Community Association, we gave away 10 trees they're sentinel apples. They're not a very tall tree. The apples grow very close to the trunk. And if you put them in well-insulated pots on a balcony, they can survive. There are going to be some cold days in the winter that you actually should bring them inside. But because they're not that big, you can lift them and get them inside. So we have given trees to tower dwellers, and they're alive. And on top of that, we've got strawberries, all kinds of different sizes of stuff. So don't feel like you can't grow. I live in a condo myself. I know a ton of people in the building that do garden on their balcony, and Tree can help you do that. And that is an important way in which you can make a connection to nature that might not seem like it's intuitive, or that you might feel like you've got a barrier there, but it's not as big as it really seems.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Would anybody else like to answer this question, share any thoughts? Yeah, David, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say the condo boards should have an environmental committee. You can ask your condo board and your property manager, what are we doing in this building that's specific to saving energy and doing more? Collectively, you own the building, whether it's a new boiler, new chiller, whatever. And so most of the property management companies have an energy expert. The condos can do things, they own the building collectively. So try that out.
Yeah, I would echo that. And in one of my other jobs, I am connected to those energy experts, the ones for First Service Residential, Dell Property Management, Manulife, and Crossbridge. If your condo is managed by any of those companies, then I can put you in touch with the person who is the energy manager, who would actually love to come to your building and do some projects that they could claim towards their energy conservation targets.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew and David. David, did you want to add something onto that?
No, I know those people, and clearly, and the conservation program has just been extended another 4 years. So it is about peak reduction, but whether you're in Toronto or York or Crossbridge and all those companies that Andrew just said have embedded energy managers. But if the board doesn't see that the people want to do it, you don't have to be a board member to ask for it. You are paying, it's in your reserve fund. Study where your money is sitting in the bank. Many condos have money sitting in the bank at 1%, and they have old boilers that can give them a 35% return if they change them.
Thank you so much, David. Would anybody else like to add on to this question? Any thoughts? Feel free to raise your hand and I'll just call on you. Yeah, go ahead, Bettina.
Sorry, just to echo what's been said, is that is get involved on your board. It really is important. You can make a difference. What gets measured gets done. And so if you insist that sustainability is a priority, health and well-being, energy consumption, etc., if you insist that these things are important, then you can educate the people in your building and you can learn to prioritize. There are always going to have to be priorities, but if you're part of that board, or if you educate the people on the board, then you can make a big difference.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Would anybody else like to share their thoughts on this question or any tips? Feel free to raise your hand. And if not, I can move on to the next question, which I'm sure will be helpful to all of the exhibitors. This is quite a large one, which is kind of good because we have a lot of tips on this. What can we do to deter littering? I'm sure there's a lot on these, so feel free to raise your hand and contribute whatever you'd like to this. Rochelle, did you want to add something?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the organization that I help run, that's our focus, is cleaning up litter. So we've dealt with it quite often, and there isn't just one solution. It's a very complex problem. And it's something that we have to tackle from a whole bunch of different ways in order to solve the problem. So picking it up is only one part of it. But there's a lot more work to be done, including prevention. So reducing our own waste is a big thing, and calling on producers to reduce their waste in whether that's their products or their packaging. Getting government involved, which I think we're seeing some progress with the single-use plastic bans and even the changes in our Blue Box program that are going to be rolled out over the next few years. So there are changes being made, but in order to make sure that things are being done and that they're actually happening, we need to keep our voices heard. So, like supporting things together and going out and picking up garbage and having people see you pick up garbage. When I first started going out and picking up garbage, I was kind of ashamed. I wanted to go out and like look around, see if anyone was looking, and if there was no one there, then I'd pick it up. But now when I go out, I am proud to pick up garbage, and I want people to see me because I want them to know that I care about the environment. So I think just taking action on an individual level is really important, and hopefully other people kind of follow along. But I think collectively we can make a big difference as well.
Yes, thank you so much, Rochelle. Community is extremely important, and every one of us is a part of it, so we better step up. Would anybody else like to contribute to the question, how do we deter littering? Any tips? Any thoughts? Feel free to raise your hand. I can call on you, or if something comes to you later, you're more than welcome to share it. Just another question, and I think this is for one of our last panelists. Erica, can you tell us a bit more about Inuit and how it helps with takeout waste? Or not, all good, all good. Let me just check to see if there are any other questions. Oh, here, Bettina, what eco-home solutions do you recommend most often?
I guess there's three approaches to looking at sustainability within a house. There's sort of a regulations or code approach, and unfortunately there's very little in our codes and our regulations. We think about, for instance, formaldehyde. The formaldehyde legislation is in its second reading and has been for years, and it's not moving further, yet we're still seeing formaldehyde ubiquitously used in our homes, and we know it's carcinogenic, for instance. So don't rely on policy or procedures or regulation at this point. The next way is kind of an add avoid approach, which is, you can add something or avoid something in order to have a healthy and more sustainable home. But what I always advocate the most is taking a holistic approach, looking at your house as a system, you as the human in that house, and what are the things that you can do from both a design and an operational point of view, from the smallest things like making recycling easier to what you use to clean, etc., to what windows you are going to use to replace your, etc., etc. But if you look at it systematically, holistically, just like we do with the decisions we make for our body, that's when you get the biggest bang for your buck. Thanks for that question.
Thank you so much, Bettina. Oh, Andrew, go ahead.
So I just want to say that inspires me as well. Like thinking about things holistically in terms of like buildings and building science. The earlier question around like, what can I do if I'm in a condo? I would say like, it's not like, I don't mean to discourage anybody from taking action, but like living in a condo is already one of the things that makes your carbon footprint lower than living in a detached house. You're gonna have you're gonna have less floor space, which is good. We need to, reduce how much floor space everybody gets if you're going to go for more urban density. And also you really only have one, or if you're on the corner of the building, two surfaces that are exposed to the outside, so you're losing heat or cool through those surfaces. But otherwise your other five surfaces, if you imagine your condo as a kind of a cube, the temperature is the same on the other side of that wall because you have a neighbor that is living there, and so there's not the same heat transfer as there is to direct outdoors. So living in a condo itself, it's not super cut and dry, but in a lot of ways it is already a decision that reduces your carbon emissions and environmental impact.
Thank you, Andrew. I think we have a question for one of our exhibitors from our second panel. Mariko, somebody's curious on how are you finding audiences for your book readings?
Oh, yeah. So before the pandemic, I went to a neighborhood school, and then I was going to farmers market as well. But during the pandemic, yeah, it's been a bit challenging, but I have been going to Evergreen Brickworks for their artisan market. And I went to one farmer's market, but yeah, if anyone wants to reach out to me, I can always do a Zoom talk, which I've done once before as well. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to figure out how to reach people. It's a bit challenging, but yeah, online we can do it. I also bought an overhead projector, and I was dreaming up maybe like doing a outdoor reading at night, but it was just kind of an idea, and I bought it and I have it here, but I haven't done anything with it. But if anyone has any ideas, yeah, please reach out to me. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Rico. I can see that Erica's back, and that's really exciting. So Erica, if you could answer, can you tell us a bit more about Inuit and how it helps with takeout waste?
Hello, I'm back. So it will make easier for you that you care about the environment to place your order ahead for a contactless pickup in a reusable container. So it's actually taking all the insights from the Wisebox pilot project, launched in the beginning of the year, and improving the whole system for both business owners and consumers. So that's one of the parts, but we also have very engaging quizzes for you to test your common sense about sustainability and to learn about how to reduce your carbon footprint and how to decrease our impact in our daily choices in a fun and in an engaging way.
Thank you so much, Erica. And thank you everybody for putting all those amazing questions in the chat. I know that we didn't get to answer all of them, but if you reach out to any of these exhibitors, I am more than positive that they're going to be willing to answer all of your questions. They really are amazing. So I think we all learned a lot from that discussion, and that brings us to the end of today's program. And I'd like to ask Aishwarya to make some closing remarks. Aishwarya, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Gabby. I think we had a wonderful program today. On behalf of EcoFair Toronto, I'd like to thank you for participating in today's finale. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. We'd love to have your feedback on this event, so please click on the link to our short and easy EcoFair survey in the chat. Everyone is encouraged to fill it out, audience, presenters, and all volunteers. This will help us make the EcoFair even better next year. The 2020 EcoFair may be over, but it's not too late to explore the EcoFair website. You can still explore the Exhibitor Showcase, highlighting all 35 sustainable businesses and organizations and their 1-minute videos. There are eco tours you can take in neighborhoods across the city and family-friendly climate pledges and eco fun and games. And follow the EcoFair Toronto YouTube channel. We'll be posting recordings of all the EcoFair events there soon. We hope you enjoyed the EcoFair and that you'll be back again. Why not sign up for the EcoFair newsletter at our website and be the first to know about EcoFair 2021. Together, we can make this a green new decade. So let's celebrate, learn, enjoy, and take action. Thank you for coming. And on behalf of the entire EcoFair team, we take a bow. Thank you.